to the channel Dilalowa 1, the channel of the Initiatory Academy Dilalowa. Dilalowa is a school of the practice of the traditional spirituality of Africa. And that school includes a research branch which is called Institut des Sciences Animiques. The researches are centered on the understanding of the African traditional theology and epistemology. Today we have chosen to answer this question: is African indigenous religion animistic? Is African traditional religion animistic? Because for us, African indigenous religion is African traditional religion. Many people are glad about the idea of Africa being animistic, so that idea was used in order to maintain the supposition, the affirmation, the wrong affirmation of the inferiority of the black people. You should know that the adventure of colonization began after the publication of the book of Charles Darwin about the evolution of species, the publication of his theory of evolution. You know, in those times, the titles of the books were long. So the two titles of the book of Charles Darwin is On the Origin of Species by the Means of Natural Selection, or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle of Life. You understand that there was something racial already in that theory. So that theory was extended to the field of social science, including the field of theology. It was then opined that the Western civilization held the highest notion of theism. Mankind began its evolution from animism, which is the irrational fear of nature. From animism, humanity went to animism, which is the fear of spirit. From animism, they went to polytheism, which is the belief in many independent gods. And from polytheism, the West reached theism. So, animism was the theory of the inferiority of the theism used by the black people. Unfortunately for the West, William Schmidt, with his team of anthropologists, discovered that those nations called primitive had a notion of a most high God to whom the prayers are not directly addressed. And that was the destruction of the theory. Anyway, they had to maintain their theory. So it was now said that while all the nations of the world at the beginning were monotheistic, some of them, due to the loss of the contact with the prophets, of the loss of the study book, fell down. They fell to polytheism and even down to animism, like Africa. So the theory was reestablished that Africa is at the bottom and the West is upside on monotheism. Anyway, let's see whether the theory of theism used by the West is correct. That theory is the belief that the supreme being is the creator. The question is, where does creation happen? There are only two answers. Either creation happens in the Creator, that is in God, the Most High Creator, or it happens outside of Him. If creation happens inside God, then at the moment of creation, something goes from nothingness to somethingness, from non-existence to manifest existence. This means that God changes. While we know that God is immutable. I know some people would say, yes, there are some verses in the Bible where God has changed his mind. For example, Genesis 3, verse 22. Now, if God is both immutable and mutable, then there is a contradiction in God, and that contradiction must be infinite. What advantage is it to have a God who is infinitely contradictory? So let's put that away. Let's take the second hypothesis. Maybe creation happens outside of God, outside of the Creator. If creation happens outside of the Creator, then we can add, by adding God and creation, we have a reality greater than God, which is a fatal contradiction because God is supposed to be the highest reality. So you see, in both ways, it doesn't work. The God of the West is a logical impossibility. What we are questioning here is not the Bible, but the interpretation they brought us of the Bible. So Africa, as we have seen in video number 2, has the only notion of the Most High God, which is demonstrable scientifically through the Kemetic cosmological argument. God is described by African traditional religion as being transcendent, and the Creator as being a child of God. This is the only notion of God, of monotheism, which is demonstrable. Even from the standard of the Bible, Africa should not be called animistic, because the Bible speaks of spirit 505 times, connecting that word even with inanimate things such as a wheel. But we don't call Christianity as animistic. So Africa is not an animistic. We have the notion of the supreme being, the only notion of the supreme being which can be demonstrated by the scientific standard of the West. We are monotheistic. If you enjoyed this video, please join us and follow us on Facebook. Bye-bye.